Joseph, what are the 10 Commandments?
One is one God. Second is don't say the Lord's name in vain. Third is worship God. Fourth is honor your father and mother. Fifth is do not kill. Sixth is adultery. And seventh is do not steal. And eighth is bear false witness. And then ninth is do not covet your neighbor's wife. And then 10th is do not covet your neighbor's goods.
As you can see, the third graders have been working hard in their religion class. Joseph almost has all 10 commandments memorized. The school also went on a field trip last week. They went to the Museum of Idaho to see the display Under the Canopy, Animals of the Rainforest. They had a blast doing that and learned about several different types of animals, had fun with one another, even got to pose next to some of their favorite animals, and they learned a little bit about loyalty, how different animals express loyalty. Loyalty, of course, is the virtue of the week this week, and stay tuned for the end of the video for a virtue talk by Father Flores. And next week, the virtue will be generosity, gearing up for Thanksgiving. This week, a special day was All Saints. We had a beautiful celebration in the church for the Solemnity of All Saints. Several servers and other ministers assisted during the Mass. And of course, there was the All Saints dress-up experience where almost all of the students dressed up as a saint. And then during the litany after Mass, they got to come up to the microphone and say who their saint was. And the whole congregation invoked that saint's intercession. And I even got in on the fun as Saint John Vianney. And here's Saint John Paul II, the patron of our school. And here's everybody together. Now here's Father Flores' virtue talk on loyalty.
On the suffering. Another way that we become saints is what the church calls heroic virtue. And that's why we want to teach virtue, because if we don't know virtue, we don't know how to live up to virtue, and we don't know how to please God. And so we become virtuous people. We want to become virtuous people because a lot of adults waste a lot of time thinking, I'm a good person, or especially if they're challenged, if the church challenges them, or a friend challenges them, we'll say, I'm a good person. Well, it's not about being a good person. It's about being a virtuous person. And a virtuous person, a virtue, remember, is the habit of doing good. That's what the virtue is, the habit of doing good. So saints, unless you're a martyr, you've been heroic. A saint has been heroic in showing virtue and living virtue. And remember that we're still working under the virtue of justice. And justice, and I'm glad some of the parents are here, because you should discuss this with your kids at home. What is justice? Justice is what helps us to give what we owe. You think about that. What we owe to God and what we owe to others. You want to hear a secret for being happy? Raise your hand if you want to be happy for the rest of your life. If you want to be happy. If you want to be happy, and I know a lot of happy people, and I know a lot of unhappy people. And one big difference between happy people and unhappy people, happy people focus on others. How can I serve others? What do I owe to others? Unhappy people are, what do people owe me? What about me? What do I get? And usually those people are unhappy. So I want you to be happy people and focus on others. And that's what virtue does. It helps us to focus on what we owe God, because He gives us everything. And what we owe other people, because other people, just like ourselves, are sons and daughters of God. So that's what virtue is. Remember, we owe God, and sometimes we live as if God owes us. God doesn't owe us. He already gave us everything we have. We owe Him. And what do we owe God? We owe Him praise. We owe Him trying to be good. We owe Him trying to be virtuous. Did you know something like Sunday Mass, not Wednesday Mass is an extra, but Sunday Mass is something that we owe God. One of the basic things that we owe God. And if we're not even doing Sunday Mass, we're probably not doing the rest, which means that we're not on the path to becoming a saint. And we want you to become a saint. So the the virtue of loyalty. And listen to this, it's kind of a tough one, but you're smart. Well, most of you are smart, but you're smart, and so you're going to get this. So the virtue of loyalty is this: accepting the bonds implicit in relationships, defending virtues upheld by the church, your family, or your country. Now that's a mouthful, I know, but loyalty is accepting the bonds. Bonds are things that hold us together, like family, like friend, like school, our religion. And even though we don't talk about these things that hold us together, that's what implicit means. We don't necessarily talk about it, but we understand it. There's something that holds you together as a family. There's something that holds us together as a school. There's something that holds us together as people who are Catholic, people who are Christian. That is implicit. So in our relationships, there's something that is not spoken that we owe to others. And so we defend the virtues that are upheld by the church. And we're learning the virtues this year, right? And so part of loyalty, what we owe to one another, is to know and to hold up, to live, to value these virtues that we're learning. And these virtues come to us from our church primarily. They come to us from our family and even from our country. Right? And so that's what we want to do when it comes to loyalty, is being aware of those bonds, those things that hold us together, and honoring them and living them. Let me give you an example, and I think you've covered this example in your class. Saint Ignatius of Loyola. Do we have any Saint Ignatius here? And he said, oh, he's a good one. Saint Ignatius is a good one. Well, they're all good, I suppose, aren't they? They're saints. But Saint Ignatius is a good one for loyalty. He wanted to be a soldier because he was loyal to his country. He was loyal to the army. He was loyal to his companions. He got hurt, and he became loyal to God. And he started a group of individuals, priests primarily, who serve God, especially in the missions. And listen to how loyalty, remember, loyalty means you value the virtues that are presented to us by God in his church. We owe these things to another. He and St. Francis Xavier, do we have Francis Xavier here? No? Francis Xavier, they were friends. They put together the Jesuit order. It's called the Jesuits. They were very good friends. They worked really close together. And listen to what loyalty cost St. Ignatius. He said, Francis, you're going to go to India. And back then, there weren't airplanes, there weren't trains, there weren't cars, there were ships. And so St. Francis Xavier went to India, and you know what? They never saw each other again. Close friends like brothers, and they never saw each other again because they were loyal. They were loyal to God, they were loyal to the promises they had made, and they were loyal to one another. And St. Ignatius later said that when they were on the dock saying goodbye, something inside them said, we're never going to see each other again, even though we're such good friends. The lack of virtue would have said, forget that, Francis, you're going to stay here so we can stay here and have a good time and enjoy our friendship. No, but virtue moved both of them to give up their friendship for the rest of their lives. So sometimes loyalty costs. Sometimes virtue costs. Sometimes living a virtuous life costs. So let's close with a prayer. Actually, I was going to open with this prayer, and it's called the Sushi Pay. Everybody stand and just listen along and pray in your hearts as I pray this prayer, which comes to us from St. Ignatius Loyola, whom I just spoke of. Take, O Lord, listen to this beautiful prayer that really helps us to focus on virtue. Take, O Lord, and receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, and my entire will, all that I have and call my own. You have given all to me, and to you, Lord, I return it. Everything that I have is yours. Do with it what you will. Give me only your love and your grace. With these I am rich enough, and I ask for nothing more. Amen.